As opposed to looking for problems in our relationship, why don't we spend more time finding solutions? This is Breakthrough Radio. Humans are fascinating. We are so fascinating. We really are the most intelligent creature on the planet. In other words, we've built houses, we've built electronics, we've built phones, we've even built devices which you're busy listening to me on right now. We are smart. We are very clever when it comes to those physical things. When it comes to our relationships, when it comes to our emotions, when it comes down to our feelings, when it comes down to the topics of the heart, that's very different for a human being. We struggle to articulate this, and as we struggle to put that stuff into words, and when we struggle to put those things into words, we're going to struggle to communicate with our partners. They are also going to struggle to communicate with us. Because not only do we need to put our stuff into words, we need to know what they're sending back to us. We need to know what those words mean. We need to know what they are communicating. And invariably what someone says and what we are trying to communicate, invariably they're two different things. Or if you work from a place that there might be two different things, at least you keep the door open. And I'll give you an example. When your partner says you're doing something that they don't like or that you're doing something wrong, that's what they're saying to you. And what we hear is, you don't like me and I'm wrong. That's what we hear. What our partners are communicating, it's just like our parents. What our partners are communicating is saying, whatever you're doing doesn't make me feel good. And what you are doing isn't working in the bigger picture. And I'm attempting to give you an opportunity to course correct. I'm giving you an opportunity for you to hear me. I'm giving you an opportunity to hear my point of view on this. I'm giving you an opportunity to know that I see it from a different point of view, so that you can see that I see it from a completely different perspective. Or how about this? I'd like my life to go in a completely different direction. Or I'd like things done a little differently. You don't mind leaving the dishes in the sink overnight. I want them done before I go to bed. When we come from our own places, leaving the dishes overnight, no one will die. Nothing big will happen. I'm very sure that the earth will not stop spinning. But here's the thing. When someone says, when we leave the dishes in the sink overnight, our neighbors have a cockroach problem. And what that's going to do, it's going to encourage the cockroaches to come and live in our house. I'd like a clean house. I don't want cockroaches here. That's what I want. What we need to listen to is we need to say, oh, okay, so our partner is actually trying to keep our place clean. Our partner actually has some pride in our place. And you know what? That's something I can get behind. So, yeah, I'd prefer to leave the dishes in overnight, and I'll do them in the morning. However, I don't want cockroaches in my house either. So you know what? If that's important to my partner, we'll make a plan. Now you have a place that you can make brand new decisions. You either do those dishes yourself, or you allow your partner to do those dishes. Or you get yourself a dishwasher, and you load the dishwasher, and you let the dishwasher run overnight. As opposed to looking for problems in our relationship, why don't we spend more time finding solutions? Let me ask you a question. Which feels better? Which actually feels better to you? Or which would you prefer? Would you prefer to be starving or feeling full and satisfied? Would you prefer to be in a blind rage or would you prefer to feel love? Would you prefer feeling grief or would you prefer happiness? Would you prefer being in either psychological or physical pain, or would you prefer pleasure, both mentally and physically? Interesting thing when I offer these choices. When I offer these choices, the rational person that I'm speaking to invariably chooses, let's call it, all the positive stuff, all the happy things, all the good things, all the pleasure things. We'd much rather feel full and satisfied than feel like we are starving. We'd much rather feel love than be in some sort of blind rage. We'd much rather feel happy than be stuck in some sort of anguish or psychological grief or just feeling sad. We'd much rather be in the position of comfort than be in the position of pain. Craziest thing about a human. Humans love torturing themselves. And in a way, we actually seek out partners which will do that for us. If you ever want to see a human being get very upset and definitely fed up and frustrated, is wait until they are in a relationship with a person that serves that inner need for themselves to be tortured, that inner need for themselves to be put down, that inner need for themselves to be judged. When we are rational, we always choose, let's call pleasure over pain. We always choose pleasure. We always want our comfort. Here's an interesting thing. If comfort is the thing that we want, or pleasure is the thing that we want, why do we drive the nail of pain so deep? Why do we communicate the nail of pain to the other person or put ourselves into that position? Human beings are weird. We are not as smart as we think we are. And here's one of the insights of why. A human loves a challenge. Humans love to overcome things. Just look at our modern society. There was a time we lived in caves. We got way past that. We realized that we could actually use our hands, we could use our entire bodies, and we can use our mind to build a better house. There was a time that the only way we could communicate with someone is we needed to walk over to wherever they were. We had to be in physical proximity to them so that we could communicate with them. We managed to get past that and solve that problem, and now we have devices that we can speak to anyone on the planet pretty much at any time. So we do know how to solve these problems. When we are rational, we will always lean to the side of I want to be happy, I want to be feeling comfortable. I want certainty, I want my security, I want my comfort. I also want adventure, I also want some sort of spontaneity. We do need some sort of spice in our life. We need some sort of spice in our relationship. Think about a spice like this. Some people like chilies and some people don't. For some people, the burn is wonderful. The other person, they don't like the burn. They don't like it. It doesn't jive with them. It's too hot. Something that's even mild is already too much for them. It almost spoils the meal. If you think of our internal components like this, chili might be something that's going to spice up our lives, like some sort of spontaneity or being impulsive. The other person might not like that at all. Following a whim is not a good idea for them. We need to look deeper inside of us, and we need to look deeper inside of our partner. We need to look deeper into the things which we hold precious and start holding our partners as precious. What is it going to take for us to start seeing the world from our partner's point of view? Right or wrong, doesn't matter. Judgment aside, doesn't matter. Just start seeing it from their point of view. When we can get behind those lines, in the beginning it seems like enemy lines, but when we can get behind the lines of our partner and allow them to get behind our lines, in other words, we need to open ourselves up so that they can get deeper behind our lines. This is the essence of relationship. We want to know what makes our partner tick. We also want our partners to know what makes us tick. We want that. Let's dig into something quickly. Why is this not as common as we'd like it to be? It's very simple. Humans are not as rational or as smart as we say we are. We are not as open, as honest as we'd like it to be. We come from a time where we needed to run around and everything was about me. We run around getting everything for myself. And the next level I'll take this to is getting everything for my family. Basic business, people making money. People do anything for money. Go from the level of stealing. They'll steal something because they want it for themselves. They'll steal something because it's easy. They'll sell it. They'll either keep all the stuff for themselves, or they'll use the things that they've stolen for themselves, or they'll take that money and they'll feed their family. And this is part of levels of development. To turn a criminal or to turn that kind of crime into something going, okay, as opposed to stealing it, why don't you work for it? Humans do not want to take the harder route. It's very difficult for a human to work hard at something, especially when we know that there's an easy alternative. We always want to take the easy road. We always want to take the shortcut. The thing is, when we turn everything into a shortcut, in other words, we're only using shortcuts, we never get to go on the journey, we never get to see the scenery. And we lose out on a lot of nuance. We lose out on a lot of scenery. We lose out on a lot of the journey. One of the things that we'll even struggle with is, how do we support a mistake? Your partner makes a choice or does something, they make a mistake. And for days, all what we do is we focus in on that mistake. And humans battle with this thing of trust. If this is the person that we love, if this is the person that we care for, what is it going to take for you to say, I know that wasn't your intention. Your intention was not to make me feel less, or your intention was not to put me down, or your intention was not to make me feel insignificant. Your intention was not to make me feel not good enough. If we can look past it and go, that wasn't your intention, that might have been how I felt. However, because I know you, because I trust you, and because I care for you, and of course I'm going to give you the benefit, because I'm a human being and because I can actually get past my inner emotions. I can get past my inner childish gorilla, which is running my emotions. When I get to calm that gorilla down and say to myself, that wasn't your intention. It might have landed this way. Perhaps that wasn't your intention. Watch my communication style from that point of view. If I suddenly stop and say to the person, what are you doing right now? Or when you did this thing, whatever it was, I got worried. You didn't communicate with me where you went. Every time I phoned you, you didn't answer the phone. I got worried. Why? Because I care for you, because you're important to me. Watch where an argument starts. You try and phone someone, they don't answer. The moment they eventually answer, you don't answer with going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're alive and okay. You start fighting with them going, where have you been? What are you doing? Why don't you answer the call? And the person's going to react from that point of view, and they're going to start rationalizing and justifying with you going, I was busy or my phone wasn't silent. We need to start looking at it from different points of view. What is it going to take for us to be able to support a person's mistake? Because watch, the moment that I can support a mistake, that the person didn't answer, and then when they finally do and I say, look, I've been super worried about you. I'm glad you're okay. And what you're doing when you leave your phone on silent or you don't answer the call, I don't know what's going on with you. You get me worried. Or how about this one? We all make bad calls, and especially in business. Your partner or even you make a bad decision. You make a bad business call. You lose money, or you borrow money to someone that takes advantage of you. They con you out of a whole lot of stuff. If the person that you're in a relationship with only focuses on that and they don't support a mistake, they call out the mistake. In other words, all that they are doing is they're not supporting the mistake and saying, you made a mistake. What they're doing is they're keeping that mistake alive, and they turn that mistake into a whip. Or how about this? They've turned that mistake into some sort of poison which they feed you regularly, or they've turned it into some sort of torture chamber that, every night they're going to strap you down into some chair and start whipping you or start putting some electricity through the thing. They use it as a torture device. That is not supporting a mistake. Every single human being on this planet has made a mistake. In fact, some human beings on this planet is a mistake. We hear just, oops, we made a mistake. So we need to start looking at the other person, especially the person that we love. Start looking at the other person through the eyes of love, through the eyes of filtering that they are not doing this to you on purpose. And here's the thing. If they really are doing this to you on purpose, then make a brand new choice. Many choices to be had. You can either choose to develop yourself and get over your own stuff. You can choose to have a decent conversation with the person and get them engaged. You can also choose to stay and allow yourself to be tortured. You can also choose to up and leave. Those are very basic choices, and on many levels, they all sound very simple. All of those are also easier said than done. And to dig into the intricacies of a relationship in some quick podcast here, we also need to take a look at these things from multiple perspectives, from different points of view, especially if you'd like to take your relationship to the next level. Whatever the next level means. Here's the thing. If you fantasize about the next level, or you fantasize that you got some sort of Jedi ninja fantasy magic relationship, but that's your fantasy, and the reality that you're living is that you've been tortured every day or that you're stuck in anguish, the only fool in that equation is you. We need to start from the beginning and realize what kind of relationship we are in. And here's the thing, secret nugget behind this. If you've been in a relationship for longer than 6 months, 8 months, let's go big, 2 years. You forget what it was like before those 2 years. We forget, and I'm including myself here because I'm a human, humans forget what it's like to be out with other humans. We forget what it was like before we met the human that we're in a relationship with. We forget why we were attracted to that relationship or that human in the first place. We forget because when we start to settle into a relationship, and they call it the honeymoon phase, in the honeymoon phase, the person gets away with anything. And in the honeymoon phase, everything's fine, everything's great. Once we get past that honeymoon phase, two things start to occur. First, we start to notice all the flaws. Second thing is we forget what it's like being in a relationship with someone other than the person that we're in a relationship with. The person that we're in a relationship with might necessarily be the best person for us. But because they lack, let's say, one skill, or they're not good at one particular thing, like they don't listen as well as your gay friend. What we start doing is we focus in on that other thing going, oh, he doesn't listen. Now I'm going to find someone who listens, and watch what people do. I've watched people break up a perfectly healthy relationship on one aspect that is missing. They go and find someone who has that aspect. So they have 1 thing out of 10, where the other person had 9 out of 10. They go and find that other person has got the 1 out of 10, create a brand new relationship with the other person because the other person has got that other attribute, which apparently the original person didn't have. And within 3 months, the conversation is completely different. Oh, Jim had this thing right from the beginning, and I was attracted to him because, he started to listen to me, or because he lifted weights, or because he had money, or because she was blonde, or because she was tall, or because she was funny, or whatever it is. I don't care whatever the reason is. I don't care whatever the attribute is. We find that other thing in the other person, and then guess what we start noticing afterwards? They're missing the other 9. We are idiots. We do not see these things going on. We know that we are not on this planet forever. We know that we are not living for 1,000 years each. We know that. We all know that we are not immortal, especially the mere mortals among us. And we behave like we are. And we almost get into a relationship to the point that I'm getting into a relationship so that I can either be tortured or that I can torture someone else. That's not a relationship, people. That's a mess. If we want to take our relationships to the next level, we need to start going to the next level. We need to start seeing the reality of our behavior. We need to start seeing the reality of our filters. We need to start seeing the reality of what we do, how we approach things. And it all comes down to us. It comes down to our basic paradox of choice. We know that we can choose. And then the other side is we think that we don't choose. We can choose our behavior. We can choose our responses. We can choose our environment. We can choose the people that we want to be in relationship with. Unless we fall into that paradox where willful blindness comes in, we willfully pull the wool over our eyes and we simply pretend that we never choose. I don't have choice in the relationship. I never chose the relationship. Don't talk rubbish. We all know the truth here. If you want your relationship to go to the next level, start being truthful with yourself. This is Andrew from Be Limitless. I look forward to talking to you again. Enjoy.